Hey, it's me. I'm John. This is my Star Trek collection, and I thought I would kind of take a little video tour of it because they're just things. These things won't last forever, but videos last forever. So let's take a look. I'll start over here at this display case. Up at the top, we've just got a normal plastic cup from Walmart and a water bottle which says Star Trek water. I don't know why they make Star Trek water. Then Vulcan Ale, I got from a friend of mine. And in the glass case, we've got some Pez dispensers. I also collect Pez dispensers, so these are Star Trek Pez. It's pretty neat. And this is an actual antique Starship Enterprise. My brother got this from an antique store. And it used to have like something that would like shoot out, so that's pretty neat. And this book is the Star Trek Book of Opposites, which we actually read to the oldest when she was a baby. Has like appear, disappear, furry, scaly. That's pretty funny. And I have a couple of Star Trek keychains and a mug. And these are USB drives, and kids play with them like, oh, hi, Captain Kirk, hey, Spock. Oh, that's pretty funny. There's a couple of plush. There's a Spock plush and a Enterprise plush. And here's a brochure from the town of Vulcan in Alberta. I guess the town was always named Vulcan, but then when Star Trek came along, it became like the Star Trek capital of Canada. This is from my brother-in-law. It's an actual coloring book. He found it just at a used, place, and some of it's colored, which is pretty funny. And, yeah, that's pretty neat. Actual kids who were Star Trek fans actually colored these. And these were always the funnest to play with, like the communicator and the tricorder and the phaser. Those are pretty neat. And then I got a couple of these. These are from Vulcan. And this is a Star Trek phone. Hello? In the center here, these are the first things that I ever got. When I was in 4th grade, I started watching Next Generation. So I asked for, these guys, the action figures. And then, kind of just before Christmas, I said to my parents, you know what, I don't actually want them because they're kind of like dolls, which is for girls. And then just before Christmas, I said, I changed my mind. I do want them because they're Star Trek and it's awesome. And they told me later that they had actually taken all of them back and then had to scramble before Christmas to get them again. So it's got all of the characters, and then there's some of the extra characters like O'Brien, which I knew from Next Generation, even though this is technically the Deep Space Nine one. And this is a pretty neat one too. It's you can actually like put your action figures inside there. I thought that was neat. This one was my favorite one with the action figures, though. It's a transporter, and it uses like two-way mirrors to make the action figures disappear. It's pretty neat. Over here is all of the other Next Generation stuff. I've got the DVDs, and I have my favorite season, Season 5, on Blu-ray. And tea, Earl Grey, hot. There's actual Earl Grey tea in there. It's the Star Trek blend. Inside, here's the Captain Picard replica. Still in the package. It has everything. His tricorder, his phaser, his flute from that one episode where he lives an entire life and learns the flute. And then here is the Pez of Next Generation. And a Starfleet Academy spoon, spork. Because in the future it's all sporks. And these are the toys that I had when I was a kid. I had the phasers and the... I don't know why this lit up. This always annoyed me that it lit up, but it's the communicator, and it used to light up, but I guess it's broken now. And This was around when I was a kid, but I never got it. And then this year, I got it for Christmas. We found it at like just a regular used place, kind of like a thrift shop. It was my lovely wife, Stephanie, behind the camera. Thanks, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
And the Next Generation phone. And one time somebody went to Las Vegas, I think it was Mark, my brother-in-law, and he got this Quark's bar and restaurant menu. So, if you went to Deep Space Nine, this is the menu you would order from. And I've actually been to Deep Space Nine. When I was in Cub Scouts, we went and we actually saw the set of Deep Space Nine, but that was before I was into Star Trek, so I had no idea what it was. We got some posters. This is a neat thing. They came out with these posters of individual episodes, and if you buy them from like StarTrek.com, it costs like $15 per, so if you wanted all the episodes, it would cost like $1 million. But then I found they have a book that has them all in it. That was neat. And here's a Star Trek cookie jar, which I got for Christmas from Jeff and Kellen. And here's of course, the Blu-rays. And underneath is the old VHSs I used to have. So you had like 2 episodes on each VHS. And that's it. Oh, and the animated series. They say that the animated series doesn't really count, but I always count it because it fits in with the rest of it. And they say a 5-year mission, but there's only 3 seasons, so the 2 seasons of the animated series are the other of the 5 years. This I got from the Stampede. This was on my birthday. They had a showing of First Contact in the theater. This is from Stephanie this year. It is Ken and Barbie Star Trek. Pretty awesome. And this is from Stephanie for Christmas last year. Mr. Potato Head Star Trek. And I got a bunch of comic books. Some of them are framed here and here. But this one is the oldest one, and it wouldn't fit in a regular comic book frame because they changed the size of comic books. So we went to get it framed, and they said it was going to cost so much money, so then we just got a cheap frame and we cut it ourselves, and it looks awesome, and it is awesome. And a whole bunch of books down here, everything from the Star Trek manual, which shows like the layout of the Enterprise and everything, which is neat, to like episode guides. We got like a TV guide and some comic books and some magazines and some actual books and Star Trek theater cereal from the J.J. Abrams movie and a Star Trek pizza cutter. And actually that, and I think this is one of the few things from the new one, like the J.J. Abrams one. Then there's games down here, a lot of trivia games, and it is so hard to get somebody to play Star Trek trivia with you that we also have Star Trek Uno and Star Trek Scrabble, and this is the one we're really into now. It's Star Trek Catan. It's pretty great. Over here we've got an Alien and Geordi LaForge, and I had Geordi LaForge in the red one, like the red costume, but I lost his visor, so I got one again in the yellow costume. And the Borg. And this is Star Trek Ninja Turtles from Jessica. And Janice Rand, which when me and Stephanie were dating, we were watching the Star Trek episodes, and we always laughed about Janice Rand. And Captain Kirk. Here's a picture that I drew before I had any of this stuff. It has, you know, the cast, and that's a Ferengi, and that's a Klingon, and there's somebody beaming away. That must be a Romulan, because the gun looks like a Romulan gun. Now, my friend worked for Paramount when I was in California, and so he got this signed picture of the whole cast. So that's pretty much the greatest. Up here is a mosaic, and if you look really closely right there, there's a picture of me and Stephanie. And so we're included in the mosaic. It's pretty neat. But if you can't see that, take a look at this. It's me and Stephanie and the entire cast of The Next Generation. We got this picture taken, and it was like, it looks like we're sitting there chatting, having a great time. Oh, a picture, sure. But it was actually like in and out, in, picture, out. But then later they had a big theater thing where they sat and talked about the whole show. And here is Leonard Nimoy and me and Stephanie, and he is giving the Vulcan death pinch to my brother Jeff. And up here it's William Shatner and me and Stephanie and Dot when she was a baby, and she is eating a phaser. This is a funny poster. Yeah, there's that. That's from my friend RJ. And here's a cool poster from my parents for Christmas one year. And here's a funny one. It's the many emotions of Spock, but then he's got the same expression for all the emotions. Here's another thing from the J.J. Abrams one. There's a tricorder toy and a Spock toy. And then up here are replicas of original kind of like action figures from like the 60s or the 70s. So they're replicas, so they're newer, but this is what they actually looked like. Kirk and Spock and Uhura and Bones. And then this one over here, which you saw, is an actual one from the 70s, and that is Scotty. And finally, this has always been one of my favorite posters. There's nothing special about it other than it's always been one of my favorites. And other than that, I got a uniform to wear to Calgary Comic-Con one year. And that's it. That's the Star Trek collection. Thanks for watching, John Henderson.